Hello, welcome to another episode of Global Staffing and Business Solutions. Our main objective here is to add value to your life. And this time we're going to be talking about how you can go to an interview and pass the interview, but still not get hired. It happens every single time. As a matter of fact, I have so many students that go through the same problems, okay? I've had so many people in my life, and from the experiences that I've had, I can use it to talk to you. Let me give you an example. There was a time I had this guy, and he was just magnificent. He was enthusiastic, he dressed well, everything was good, okay? Everything was good. But he came across to me as somebody that you could not trust. And even though that in his head, he'll say, well, I passed this interview. There was no problem. I told him he did great before he left. He felt like he already got the job. But in my own mind, I had doubts. There were doubts in my mind. And I guess he waited for me to call him, and I never did call him. And eventually, he reached out to my secretary and my secretary, well, the position has been filled. And in his mind, he would be saying, well, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? So today, we want to talk about a lot of things that you could involuntarily do wrong. You feel like you went to an interview and you aced everything. Everything was great. But there was a doubt. You did not know that interview, whoever was interviewing you, there was something in that person's mind that made that person say, well, even though he's good at this and this, or even though she's good at this and this, I'm still not comfortable. I'm still not comfortable with him, and that disqualifies you. And this is very, very painful. So I also advise you, if you go to an interview and you felt like you did so well in the interview and you still don't get the job, okay? It's always good to reach out to the person who did your interview to find out why you did not get the job. And lots of times, they will not tell you anything. They will just tell you that there was a better candidate and everything like that. And that is why practicing before you go to an interview, getting your research done, practicing. Michael Jordan wouldn't be as good as he is today if he didn't practice. LeBron James wouldn't be as good as he is today if he wasn't practicing. Okay? So practice is very, very powerful. Okay? Especially if you have a coach. Okay? And that is why in our courses, I advise you, you can sign up for a one-on-one with me or with one of my guys, and we'll take you through a lot of things that you think you're doing right, but absolutely you're not doing it right. Okay? So, but today, we want to dive into why is it that you go to an interview and you feel that you did wonderful? In your mind, you know you did wonderful, but you still don't get the job. Number one is trust. Okay? Before somebody hires you, they have to trust you. It's like I have so many employees. There are some of my employees that I will not allow them to have access to very, very sensitive information because I don't trust them. Might be something that they did or the way they behave, and there's really nothing they've done that makes me don't want to trust them. But I take that back. There are some certain things that they've said or they've done, or the people I see them hang out with, that makes me think that this person can really not be trusted. You know how they say that the people you associate with, that's how people use to judge you. The people you associate with, the way you talk, and every single one of us gives out vibe, regardless of how much you try to hide it. You give out vibe of what you are. You give out vibes of what you are. So when you go to an interview, one of the best ways, okay, to diffuse trust is to, when you talk to people, okay, look them in the eye. Look them in the eye. If I'm interviewing somebody and they have a problem looking me in the eye, or they have a problem emphasizing something, or they have a problem, they have a confidence problem, okay, I can trust that person. Because for me to trust somebody, you have to come across as somebody who's not hiding anything. Somebody who's bold. Not too bold, but somebody is ingrained in our psyche. You know, the way you grow up is like the way society molds you. Whether you like it or not, every single one of us have prejudices in us. I don't care who you are. You have prejudice in you. Okay? That is why all of us don't like the same thing. Everybody likes so many different things. So, but we have prejudices in us. So what you're going to have to do is, when you go to an interview, first of all, when you walk in and shake your interview, shake the person firmly to show that the person that you're not hiding anything. Look the person straight in the eye when you shake them. Okay? And tell them something like, well, thank you very much for taking time to see me. You know, things like that instills confidence in the other person, the person that's interviewing you. So trust, you might go to an interview and you think you aced everything, but deep down inside, that person don't trust you because of probably the thing that you said. That's another thing. When you go to an interview and they ask you a question, answer that question, okay, to the best of your ability, and keep quiet. I've had people who I interviewed and I ask them one question. It takes them about 5 minutes to answer one single question because they go on and on and on and on and be telling me all kind of stuff that I'm not interested in. And as I ask you about 2 or 3 questions and you go on and on, you've lost me. You've lost me already. Inside my head, I say, well, this person is not organized. You know, inside my head, you just not the person I'm looking for. Because you talk too much. Nobody likes somebody who talks too much, especially if you're a man. If you're a man and you talk too much, I mean, men are not engineered to run their mouth a lot. I mean, it's wired into some of the women, but, it's like gossiping. Men are not supposed to gossip, okay? And men are not supposed to talk whenever they see something. You got to hold back sometimes. That's what I meant. And so you want to convey, okay, the fact that you can be trusted. And when you answer your questions, add the fact that you don't have to say, I can be trusted, but you're going to say things that show the person that you can be trusted. For example, saying things like, I was entrusted to manage the department. I was entrusted to manage sensitive information in the department. And I was able to come out great and we were able to achieve so much, in that department. So automatically, whoever is interviewing you say, they entrusted him to sensitive information and there was no problem. That's great, I mean, that's the way I'm going to feel. It's a way of telling you that I can be trusted without actually saying it, okay? Number 2 is likability, okay? That is where your research comes in. If you prepare very well and go to an interview, your preparation gives you confidence. Because people who go to an interview and they are so nervous are people who don't even prepare. Now, how the hell are you gonna pass an interview if you don't prepare? Do you know that 95% of the people who go to an interview don't even prepare? They don't do their research, they don't do anything. That day, the interview there, they just grab their paper and go to the interview. Now, how in the world do you think you're going to compete with people who sit down for like 2-3 days researching the company, researching who's going to interview them, researching everything about that industry, researching, doing so many research, and after they do that research, they compile everything together. And when they compile everything together, they go over it over and over and over. they videotape themselves answering questions, practicing answering questions. And when they don't answer the questions right, somebody will correct them, or they can correct themselves and things like that. And so this practice, you know how they say practice makes perfect. So the more you practice, the more you instill a psychological confidence in yourself. So you don't go there. I mean, before you go to an interview, if you answer about 30 questions and answer it very, very well, out of that 30 questions you ask, they're going to ask you, there's no other question they're going to ask you that does not relate to those 30 questions. So your interview becomes a conversation. Do you know that I interview thousands of people, but as soon as somebody comes in and opens their mouth and start to talk to me, okay, and they did their homework and everything, already I start to like them. I start to like them right away, because they know they have to go to an interview. They prepare for the interview. And a lot of times, the companies that hire me to hire people for them, sometimes I don't know so much about the company. And when I'm hiring somebody, that person is telling me about the company, telling me a lot of things that I don't even know about the company. Okay? And, when you're loose, when you're talking and when you're loose, it becomes, you can get the vibes. It becomes a flow. It's not like I'm interviewing you, answer my questions. It becomes a flow, a conversation. When it gets to that point, then you have a flow. The next thing we have to talk about is differentiation. Okay? If you don't differentiate yourself from everybody else, okay, you're not going to be remembered. Nobody's going to remember you. If I'm interviewing 40 people and one person does something that differentiates him or her from the rest of the pack, I'm going to remember that person. I'm really going to remember that person. So before you go to an interview, you have to find something. When you do your research about the company and everything, you have to find something that you can say or something that you're going to do that is going to differentiate you from the rest of the crowd. Even if you go to the interview and come back, when you go to the interview and you do good, it's not the end of it. You gotta write letters. You gotta write thank you notes. Gotta email the person. That's why before you leave an interview scene, make sure you get the person's email and phone number if possible, okay, and address, so that way you can follow up with the person. I've had so many instances that I've interviewed about 50 people for like 2 positions, and at the end I'm confused. They all have the same qualification. Everybody talks the same. This and that, and I'm a human being. And eventually I just say, who in the world am I going to get out of all these people? I probably zeroed down on about 8 people that I'm going to do a second interview with. But a lot of times I get letters from people that are not even in the list of the people that I chose. It happens every now and then. I get a letter, I get a thank you note, and as soon as I do that, I say, this person is really serious. So I ask the person to come in for a second interview. Okay? I've had a lady that, did this to me. She kept on emailing, writing, calling, doing everything. And at the end of the day, I called her for a second interview. And after the second interview, she kept on writing and doing everything. I said to myself, man, this lady is determined. I called for a third interview. I said, well, if she's determined, let's just give her the job and see what she can do. That's how she got the job. In everything you do in life, you have to have a way, you have to differentiate yourself from the pack. If you don't do that, nobody is going to ever remember you. Let me tell you a small story about a friend of mine called me, and he was getting married. And he said, Ralph, I want you to be one of the speakers in my wedding. Okay, I have about four people, 2 men and 2 women that's going to speak on our behalf in the wedding. So I want you to be one of the speakers. I told him I want to be the last person to speak. He said, okay, no problem. You be the last person to speak. So when I sat down and I thought about it, I said, what can I say or what can I do to differentiate my speech so that even if everybody leaves, they're going to remember that speech? The more I thought about it, I said, then it came to me. I said, you know what I'm going to do? When I go to the wedding, I'm going to buy a dozen of roses. And when I speak, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to differentiate myself with those roses. So this is what happened. I went to the wedding and everybody spoke, and finally they called me. And everybody said, talk good things about the couple and wishing them the best life, wishing them everything. That's what everybody said. It's like everybody was saying the same thing. And then when it got to me, I stood up and I said, this is a very special occasion. Okay? It's a very special occasion, and I'm very honored to have been given this opportunity to speak. Then I reached out to the table where I had my a dozen of roses, and I picked out 2. I had half a dozen of red roses and half a dozen of white roses. I picked out 1 white rose and 1 red rose. And I went to the couple, and I gave the guy the red rose, and I gave the lady the white rose. And I said to them, you as the man command strength. You're going to take care of your family. I went on and on and on. I've forgotten what I said, but I talked to the lady. I said, you're beautiful, you're delicate, and this white rose shows your delicacy, your humility, and things like that. I've forgotten what I said, but at the end of it, I summarized by saying, you guys are a wonderful couple. And just like a white rose and a red rose blends together to form something that is good. Like I said, I don't remember what I said, but I went, at the end of it, everybody stood up and started clapping. And everybody, at the end of that wedding, 2-3 weeks after that wedding, people were still calling me and telling me about my speech. How I got the rose and everything. One guy said, who the hell gave you that idea? I said, I just wanted to be different. And so you have to find a way to be different in everything you do. If you go to an interview, find a way. Ask yourself, what can I do to be different? And as soon as you're able to differentiate yourself from everybody else, that's how you're going to get remembered. Let's talk about enthusiasm. Nobody likes somebody who's moody. You go to an interview, you put your head down, and they ask you a question, you answer. I've had people like that. There's complete absence of enthusiasm. You're asking them questions, it's like you're talking to yourself. When they give you the answer, they give you a lousy answer. And this is the reason why they do that is because they're not ready. See, if you're going to an interview and you're ready, you're pumped up. So in every single thing you do, enthusiasm is power. You gotta have to convey the fact that I can do a wonderful job for you. I've done it before, so I know I can do it for you. All I have to do is learn your system. Okay? I can help you get your job done. Okay? Whatever the problem is, I'm going to learn this job so well that I'm going to help this company add value. And, whatever you think that you can do to make a difference, that's what you need to be selling to the people. Okay? The last thing we're going to talk about is intimidation. Now, let me tell you something. It doesn't happen to me, but I've had many of my students, say to me that they went to an interview and they got the impression that the guy or the lady that was interviewing them was intimidated. And this is what happens. If, for example, you are being interviewed by a head of a department, okay, and it comes across that you have enough knowledge, but you're even more knowledgeable than the person, okay, then the person senses the fact that, this person might come in and take my job. Even though that you're the most qualified, okay, they will be hesitant to hire you because they feel like you're enthusiastic, you know the job probably more than they do. Okay? And a lot of biases start to go into the person's head. And that's where inferiority complex is. Because if you're a supervisor and you're hiring somebody to work for you, what you should be doing is somebody who has enough experience to help you do your job better. Your objective as a supervisor should be to hire somebody who has the ability to do the job well and the person that you can really train to take over your position so you can move up. But as soon as you're scared that somebody's going to come in and take your place, you're doomed. You are really doomed. Okay? That is a high degree of inferiority complex. And I've seen it with many of my students. They say, well, when I was talking to this person and I felt I was more qualified than him, but even though I was more qualified than him, so when you're doing an interview, you have to read the person that's interviewing you. Okay? You have to read the person. And the way to make somebody comfortable, okay, if you know the person is the head of the department that you're going to be working in, start saying things like, I'm going to do a wonderful job for you, okay? I know the problems that you have, and I can help you solve a lot of those problems. You can count on me. The minute you start to say these things, okay, it dissolves their degree of intimidation to almost nothing. So in other words, you're trying to tell the person, look, you are the boss, and if you bring me in, I can help you do your job. I can help the department grow. In other words, when I do that, you're the one that's going to look good. And as soon as you start to say things like that, you dissolve any biases that they might have. I hope this has helped you. And so what you need to do is watch this video over and over so you can understand really what we've discussed here. And even though you go to an interview and you think you aced it, it's not the end of it. Like I said, you must also, at the end of every interview, follow up. Try to make whoever is interviewing you comfortable. Okay? And if you do these things, your probability of getting the job increases. Okay? Okay? My name is Ralph Izokwe, and I hope this will help you. And I know it will help you if you put this in the back of your mind in everything you do. Thank you, and good luck, okay?